Hi everyone, it's Bo, founder and CEO of Ophelia, and today I'm here joined with Manav, founder and CEO of AgentPhone, a YC-backed company building infrastructure that enables AI agents to communicate and interact through phone calls and messaging. I'm so excited and very, very enthusiastic about the conversation we'll be having today about the future of AI and essentially enabling participants and agents take action in the real world. Welcome, Manav.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about AI agents. I feel like it's become my whole life at this point, and This is all I talk about, but it's awesome. I like to start off by just saying I feel like, and I think both of us believe this, AI agents are getting really smart and extremely smart, right? But to actually make them capable, they need access to the right tools. And I feel like that's what we're doing. And that's really the core thesis that we're trying to solve with AgentPhone.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we actually get to talk about infra because I feel like everyone either in AI is building in the model space and trying to find the best capabilities and the best data to serve those models, whereas we're kind of like the middleman. Let's start with who you are as a builder and like how you even got involved in technology, because I know for at least my background and my experience, technology has always been a part of my life, but it wasn't necessarily the specific niche that I thought I was going to be getting into. I wasn't waking up one day saying, yes, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So I guess I wanted to know how you started to engage with computers as like a kid and how that transformed the way that you not only approach building today, but how you approach thinking about technology.
Yeah, no, I love talking about this. I feel like, I feel I have the classic start of like programming. I loved puzzles, got into programming, tried it out when I was like 10, and it was awesome. I was like mind blown. I could do this cool stuff. Could never understand how apps would get made, but I was like, I'll get there one day, and then I think eventually I just started building stuff. I made a first website when I was like 16. And it was just for like myself, no like particular reason. But then eventually when like college came around, that's when I really got to like experiment. I published my first app on the App Store, which was amazing. Didn't get that many downloads, but it was fun.
Okay.
And then eventually by like sophomore year of college, I actually started my first startup. So
cool.
We were helping students who were struggling with financial stuff with fundraising during COVID. And so we helped hundreds of students across like 5 different universities. And it was just such a fun experience. I got to lead all the tech work that we were doing. And that was when I really learned so much. And I just started playing around. I built like 3 apps that are published on the App Store today. One of them has like 20,000 downloads and it's being used by a lot of people today. And I never thought I'd build an infra company. I kind of stumbled upon this. I always assumed I'd be in the consumer space.
Me too.
Or, but I'm almost glad I'm in the infra space because we have hundreds of consumer companies building on top of us. And I almost get to be a part of every single one of them. So I can say, oh, that company is building on top of us. They're able to do this because we enabled them to do this. And it's just awesome. I feel like AI has changed what coding and building can do. And for me personally, in the best way possible. I can build like 5 projects, 5 different things at the same time and make it just as good, if not better than what I could before.
Agreed.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was also in the consumer space and I attribute the reason why I'm in infra to having iOS mobile app kind of experience, because half of the reason why we had to create our technology was because we saw the immediate use case and problem when we were building. And I'm also curious to know your experience with helping with that business, with helping fundraise for, financially in need kids and students. Do you think that experience with seeing real people, like real world experiences, do you think that also shaped kind of this need to take action in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of where it started, right? That was my first opportunity to build a startup, and getting messages from people that we actually got them money so that they could get a home, food, was such an amazing experience and life-changing.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want to do this at a different scale. I want to be able to help and make businesses succeed and just keep growing this. Fun fact, before I started the startup for the last 2 years, I was actually leading the engineering work at Vogue magazine. So I built the Met Gala live stream, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that I got to do there. And so I had a lot of experience in this like consumer space.
Like an amalgamation of all these
just like hundreds of different things that I got to do. But I feel like I'm so excited to be building in this space now, and it is the perfect time. I could not be luckier. It is just luck.
I know, that's how I feel too. My background was in politics and like campaigning and like the cybersecurity and data side before we had, which is so interesting and why I love kind of your journey and why I just love you as a founder too, an operator, is the fact that we were phone banking without like AI agents.
Oh my God,
like,
that's crazy.
So I'm calling like 500 people myself, like for the whole entire day to meet my quotas. And I'm thinking about now how it's all changed because of AI and how I could just have used your service, like paid a couple cents and then would have been fine with that and done with my day. And instead of like doing hundreds of phone banks.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. This is a kind of controversial question, right? And I think a lot of founders and a lot of hype around founder talk right now. Do you think to be a builder and an operator specifically for, a company such as big as, AgentPhone is and will become even more, do you think builders are born or kind of developed?
I think they're definitely developed, but I think from somewhere there needs to be a passion that comes out of building, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it was my dad. My dad was always talked about wanting to build a startup, never actually got the chance because he had to take care of 2 kids and he had us very young. So I always like saw him talking about wanting to do something. And I was like, I want to do this now.
Yeah.
I want to have this opportunity to build something that can impact people, where someone comes to me and they're like, wow, you built such a cool product. And now I actually get emails saying that, and it's awesome. So I don't know. I feel like builders are definitely not born. And I think anyone who really puts their passion and effort into becoming a builder can create a great startup if they just put in the right effort.
Do you think because of your dad that has given you kind of an exemplar of how to be scrappy, how to be a lean operator? I think I also attribute that to my father.
No, 100%. My dad came from a small village in India, literally nothing at all, and now is doing extremely well in his career. And it is just crazy seeing that journey, because I was like born when he was still like struggling and figuring things out.
Yeah.
And now he's very, very successful. And like, if he can come from a small village and do that, I should be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Right now that I have this opportunity handed to me, and which is why I'm so excited just to be building.
What's your opinion, I guess, on the age bracket of founders now these days? I feel like everyone obviously says they're a founder, but I'm noticing that a lot more, like even high schoolers, right, are labeling themselves as CEOs. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think I have mixed opinions about that. I think it's awesome that people are building. I think people building is great. I think actually running a startup is very different from just building things, right?
Do you think because of your dad that has given you kind of an exemplar of how to be scrappy, how to be lean
to do when you're running a startup?
Yeah.
And I think what I would really differentiate founders and then there's builders.
Absolutely.
And builders are these people that are 15-year-old high school students that are building and calling themselves CEO. It's awesome. I think it's great that they're building early, but it's not really a startup till you have hundreds or thousands of users actually using your product and you're serving businesses.
That's how I feel. For the longest time, like I didn't call myself an entrepreneur. I didn't even call myself a CEO or a founder. I only had to because, like investors and people ask you who you are and what your role is. And I just think that to be an entrepreneur is something that you wear with like a badge of honor. It's something that you earn.
Yeah.
And you can only earn that with those customers and with that revenue and with that traction. I guess we'll see. I think like the next wave will be incredibly interesting to watch.
I'm very intrigued. I'm very, very curious what it's going to look like, because I feel like when I did my first startup, it was so different. You actually had to do it.
Yeah.
And now I feel like the world is changing, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
I know, even the transition, like I did the same, started a consumer app, like AI dating app at college. And even the transition from being a student, an undergraduate student, specifically in Boston, to now being in New York and being an actual adult who has actual responsibilities is a fundamental change. So now we're going to transition from kind of like who you are as a builder to like the information and action side. So I guess like more of your thoughts and opinions on how I guess we've made this transition into AI as we know today. So from your understanding, what changes when software moves from basically just providing that information to then taking action, making those phone calls? How do you even conceptualize that type of vision idea? I know like, YC famously and Paul Graham specifically always says to start small, right? To have that niche idea. instead of having this grandiose vision. So how do you land at AgentPhone?
Yeah, it was such an interesting story, actually. The idea started off completely different. It was this idea where I wanted a second phone number that I could give out to my like people I meet, people I didn't really like, and it could like manage my calls, my
Oh, that's
text
funny.
messaging. And we were building this on top of another legacy provider, and it was just such a terrible experience. And I was like, why is it so hard to give my AI a phone number?
Right.
It has to be easier. It has to be easier for it to control a phone number, and it just wasn't. And we just started building. We went deeper and deeper. We started working with carriers on it. And we spent
Nice.
months getting actual licenses and permissions to be able to sell phone numbers for our own personal needs, not to actually sell it. By the time we were done, I was like, wait, we might have something really cool that might be useful to a lot of people, especially as we noticed like AI was getting smarter, right? The new Claude version came out, OpenAI was getting better, and things were just improving so significantly that AI could take action on its own. And we were like, wouldn't it be so cool if you could give every AI agent its own phone number?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how AgentPhone started.
I love that. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I always love founder stories where there's a pivot involved.
Yeah.
Because I think no one really talks about it. Obviously, you know, when you're in the end stage, you can talk about it. But when you're in it, there's always opinions and backlash. Do you think that if you hadn't pivoted, you would be in the same position, or?
No, I think it was a great idea. The other one, I loved the idea.
Yeah.
But I think what we're building right now is a lot more essential.
Probably.
And it allows people like me who are trying to build an idea like that to build something really cool.
Right.
And we have actual consumer startups doing something similar, enabling these personal AI startups. And I just absolutely love seeing that happen. These personal AI startups. And I just absolutely love seeing that happen. These personal AI startups.
Definitely such advantages of having an agent have a phone number, and then there's obviously disadvantages. There's going to be yin and yang, but where do you see kind of that spark of true transformation and innovation happen when you do stuff that you guys are doing?
I think part of it was when you really look at the legacy software today for like anything related to phone numbers, a lot of it required human intervention. A lot of it required an AI agent. If you pointed towards one of these providers, you couldn't really access anything, right? We from the get-go were like, everything needs to work through APIs. If an AI agent wanted to come and sign up on our platform from the start to beginning, it can do it. It never actually, no human has to come onto our dashboard, and it should just work. And that's kind of the vision we built with, and that's really what helped us grow. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of different things you need to keep in mind as you're building for AI agents. Like sometimes AI agents go rogue.
Hallucination.
Yeah, exactly. Things like this happen. And since we're the infra underneath, we need to be careful. So a very simple example I like to give is in the US, if your AI agent called 911 by mistake through one of these numbers, you could get fined $3,000 to $5,000 right away. Which is crazy. And so we were like, let's block this. And there's hundreds of guardrails we have in place to prevent AI agents from going rogue in the first place and doing anything that they're not supposed to. And I think that's the kind of things you really need to keep in mind when you're building infra for like AI agents.
It's crazy because you'd never think about those kind of ramifications and protocols until you're in it. It's kind of like to your famous story, one of the most infamous like dating apps had approached us wanting to use our API. And they were asking us like, oh, why can't specific suppliers like Resi or OpenTable handle authentication lists, kind of, login and signups? And I'm like, because you can't store emails. Those types of conversations where I'm like, you should know this, right? But you don't really know it until you know it kind of situation. And I think it's funny now that we're able to sit in the middle of both the end consumer platform and then also these suppliers and work both hand in hand with them to make sure that, agents don't go rogue. Like we don't have sticky situations. This is now kind of more of like infrastructure as philosophy, because now that was a great segue into talking about the most interesting topic in the world. What do you think makes infra companies different? Maybe more powerful, maybe harder to build, maybe easier to build, whatever your opinion is.
I definitely think they're harder to build. But I also think they're one of the most important pieces of like any like software or company in general, right? You can think about any company in the world and they need some sort of infrastructure, right? Cloud infrastructure is important. Even today, almost every single business in the world requires some sort of phone numbers. They might require it for login purposes. They might require it for business phone numbers. And there's just so much infrastructure that actually goes underneath that people don't even realize exists. That's the best part too. They don't know. They don't even know.
And they assume.
If your if the company that's working with you doesn't even know you exist and it's working well, you've done a good job, right?
Yeah.
If it just works smoothly and there's no problems and they never reach out to you, that means things are working well and you've done a good job. And I think with AI agents, this has really changed, right? I think people are building so much, as we were talking about earlier. There's instead of thousands, there's like millions of people building today.
It's crazy.
And all of these people need some sort of infrastructure, even if they're doing it on a small scale.
Yeah.
And that's part of the job that we're doing, is that making it easier that even a 1-person startup or 100-person, 1,000-person company could use us to make that possible within seconds or minutes, rather than spending days or weeks dealing with infrastructure all by themselves.
Yeah. Do you think your background supports like the simplistic nature of building? I know mine does.
I think that's kind of what happened. I'm not someone who has an infra background at all.
Yeah.
And I came from this consumer space. But because I never understood infrastructure that well, I wanted it to be just so simple that even I could understand it, right?
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea. Like, it just needs to be so simple. I don't want to complicate it with like too many words. It needs to work with a few APIs, and it should just be easy enough for a 15-year-old builder to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that worked wonders. Today, when we do surveys on our users, 50% of the users signed up for our platform because of how easy it is to use.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I almost attribute that to my background, because I'm like, I would never build something complicated because I hate anything that's complicated.
I'm in the same boat, and kind of like point out, didn't come from infra, but we come from systems. And I've noticed across like all infra builders and founders that the majority of them loved puzzles, loved some sort of like systems building, problem solving. Yeah. I think obviously building, you have to have that
100%,
that curiosity, like that innate curiosity at least. So what do you think people most underestimate, I guess, about infrastructure companies?
I think, you'll see so many comments on like Twitter, LinkedIn, like, oh, I could just do this within minutes with AI. I could just do this. But then when these people actually start building, they'll realize how complicated it is.
Yes.
And we've had so many users convert just because they're like, oh, this is so easy. I could do this in a day or in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, go try it yourself.
Infamously.
And almost always they'll come back and they'll try our product and they'll be like, oh, this is so much easier than anything else in the market.
Yeah. It's my favorite part too.
It's awesome. I love it. And I think like that's what people don't realize, especially I think when you're starting to build, you assume, especially in this AI age, everything is buildable super easily.
Yeah. Or built with AI.
Or built with AI.
Yeah.
But so much, especially in infra, there's so much background work happening that AI just cannot do.
You can't do it.
And that's what makes our companies resilient to AI, and also really good for the future, because AI agents will need us, but they can't build it themselves.
Absolutely. That's well said. I'm fully in agreement with you. I think and to your point of like Twitter, one of the most infamous DMs that I've ever received was from a big tech company. And one of the engineers was like, why can't this be vibe coded? And I'm like, okay, well then go do it, right? Like go, please, would love to see if you can, because that would at least help our expense costs at the end of every month. I always like to say for infrastructure, it's the best place to be, but it's also the worst because everyone always underestimates you.
Exactly.
But I'm the type of person that I need people to underestimate me.
No, that's great.
Yeah, like light that fire. Yeah.
Keep it going and we'll keep growing bigger.
Exactly. Okay, well, so then let's like transition more into like how you see AI agents and like humans and people kind of interacting. I mean, we deal with this every day, like the identity, the trust portion, safety. Humans, we do make phone calls, and there's a lot of businesses that are essentially just people on phones, right? So like, where do you see that transition going? What safeguards are important? How do you have those conversations with people with hundreds of employees kind of in those roles? Where do you see that balance?
Yeah, I feel like that from the beginning we were really, really strict on guidelines and like guardrails in place, like that AI shouldn't go rogue, they shouldn't make spam calls. We are really against spam on our platform, so we've blocked multiple users whenever they're spammed on our platform. Yeah, we just don't want, or we've even blocked AI agents, I guess, right, that have spammed. We just don't want that to happen, and we don't want to create more spam in the world. And so there's a lot of thought process that goes behind like what is actually spam, what's not, how can you prevent AI from going rogue. And we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to actually figure that out. I also, a little bit different from this, I think people today, especially founders and coders, are talking to AI agents on terminals, on codecs, on websites. I believe that people will mainly be talking to their AI agents in the long run on phone calls, on SMS, iMessage, WhatsApp, these platforms. And that's how 90% of the world will end up interacting with it. And that's why we're building AgentPhone. That's where we believe. And so I think in the future, there'll be this sort of like trust and identity that we'll have to build into these AI agents.
Yeah.
Where we can have like, hey, this is a good AI agent because when they've used AgentPhone, they haven't spammed anyone.
Yeah.
Or they're a bad AI agent because when they've used AgentPhone in the past, they've been very spammy. They've caused a lot of problems. And so we've been thinking a lot about how the identity piece ties into these phone numbers. And we've almost started considering these phone numbers like SSNs for like AI agents.
Very cool.
It's a little early on figuring out this whole identity piece, but I think this is going to become more and more important as people have their own AI agents that are doing things for them.
I think about it in the same way. And to your point of the interface, I think that obviously iMessaging, WhatsApp, all of those different kind of like interfaces are going to be extremely important. I'm more excited to see kind of like home OSs become a huge factor in play, especially wearables.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Because technically you could have a wearable, like a necklace, have an agent phone number, right?
Yeah.
Because it's an LLM technically inside that device. That's also where our team is more so focused on. It was something that I posted on Twitter recently as well and got a lot of backlash for was just because I don't necessarily believe and I'm more than happy to be, wrong in this, but I don't necessarily believe that robots and home robots are the next best thing in the next 5 years. Where, as companies are supposed to be building out within the next couple months, years, 10 years, decades. I don't think the people are ready for that. And I think a lot of attribution to that belief is because tech is a tech bubble.
It is.
There's a lot of complication, and that's where infra is so cool, is because you get to see a bunch of consumer platforms, a bunch of different teams all building and see the results of those individual verticals and use cases. And what I'm noticing, at least from the customers that we serve, is that like the most basic, bare minimum, I guess, like interaction that the average person, no matter what country it is, they will interact with an AI agent if it's kind of like through a phone call, if it's through a text message, if it's through an already embedded within the platform that they're already using, kind of like a dating app or a social platform. So it'll be really interesting to see how society transitions from here when we're talking to becoming more increasingly autonomous.
I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I feel like it could go so many different ways.
Hopefully in the good way.
In a good way. And in the way that we'd like it to go. But I just can't imagine people not talking to AI on channels they prefer already, right?
Yeah.
Like on apps that they're already on like platforms they already use.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to become the norm.
Yeah.
And they just want to integrate part of their life, almost as if it's not there, but it is doing everything for them.
Do you feel like almost a responsibility to serve the people, like the average person who are going to be interacting with like these autonomous systems?
No, I think it's so cool, right? My mom obviously doesn't really use AI that much. And she's tried a bit, but like I think like if there was a WhatsApp AI agent, and there are a few now, she would use it so much more. Like, hey, like what's going on? And I think that there's so many different things that are going to be impacted. Like something as simple as calling an airline today, right? When you call an airline, you might be on hold for an hour. There's no reason that needs to happen anymore, and things can already change. And I think that's the kind of AI like older people or people who aren't familiar with technology will experience, where they don't even realize they're talking to AI or experiencing it, but it's just improving their life and saving them time in ways they don't realize.
About when I showed my mom the first time, like you can book your doctor's appointment through an AI assistant, like using our API. And she was like, what? And I was like, okay, never mind. Like we don't have to go there. That is why I also love AgentPhone, because I mean, ultimately you're helping us reach different countries and different, I guess, really specific niche user experiences that I have never thought about before. And the fact that, for example, like in Brazil, the average restaurant isn't on OpenTable. And you still need a way to book those reservations, right? You still need a way to access those, I guess, multiple bookings and requests from users. And that's where I just saw such value in what you guys are doing. What beliefs have changed since starting the company?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. What beliefs have changed since starting a company? I think, we went through YC and it was life-changing experience. I would recommend it to anyone to go through it. It was better than I expected. I already had pretty high expectations going in. But I think very early on, I was like, oh, I'll just keep building, I'll keep shipping, and I'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
People will use it and they'll tell me what it was. But I almost had to like push people and customers to be like, give me feedback. I need to know what to grow. And like PG says this very often, like you need to like talk to your customers directly, reach out to them, be close to them, and do things that don't scale, right?
Yeah.
I think very early on our first version of the site, I actually put my phone number on the site.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And part of the sign up process was if you want to call me, you can, and just talk to me about the product. And we got a few calls, right? And it was like such a cool experience to be like, we're such an early stage startup, we can actually do something like this. And that was part of doing things that don't scale. And since then, we still, even though we have thousands of users today, I still like to just follow that principle of like being close to the customers, doing things that don't scale, and then we'll figure out how to scale it in the future.
Absolutely. I think it's funny that you have that experience. Meanwhile, like, because we were so early and bootstrapped, that was just the only phone number that we had access to. So I realistically only put my phone number on the website, my own email. And I mean, obviously now it's Slack.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's everything.
I still give my phone number to founders though.
Oh yeah.
So if they don't use, especially early stage founders who were in the same boat, didn't have access to Slack, can't do the $50 a month or whatever pro enterprise team membership, I will always be like, just put me in a group chat.
Reach me 24/7. Any form of contact, doesn't matter. I'll message you back as soon as I can. Usually within an hour, if not sooner.
Me too. Then what do you think? I guess like the misconceptions or lessons that can be learned through only experience, right? Like there's only, I mean, I've read absolutely every single hologram essay. Brian Chesky, he is one of my favorite founders, favorite operators. I think I spent the entire summer like watching every single one of his interviews.
That's awesome.
How he approached kind of like COVID and everything. And that's fundamentally changed who I am. Do you think that there's only, certain experiences that you can have as a founder that lead you to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think reading these people, understanding from them is awesome. But I think at the end of the day, experience is what's going to teach you.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes and you're bound to make mistakes. It'd be crazy if you didn't. Very early on, there's one day we had a spike of users. We did thousands of calls within minutes. And so our servers broke down for 10 minutes. I was crashing out. And I mentioned this to my YC partners and they're like, congratulations, that's so exciting. You broke early and now you know how to fix this. And that means you have a lot of users on your platform. And I was like, I never saw it that way.
Reframe.
Yeah, and it's such a great way. And he was excited for us. And I was like, this is such a good way to actually think about this. Yeah. And now we can actually like go back, make sure that never happens, and keep serving our customers properly. And I don't know, I think some of these things you only learn when you're in the thick of it. Mm-hmm. And especially with startups, there's so many ups and downs, right? There have been times where we're like, oh, this is never going to work. Mm-hmm. Times like this is awesome, this is it, and this is where we are right now. I think we're building something.
Let's keep it like that.
Yeah, let's keep it like that. But there's gonna be lows, and I think you have to be willing to just learn from those experiences.
That's what I think makes YC and YC Mentors so great, and the partners there, because that mentality, that reframe shift is so fundamental to your team.
Oh yeah.
What I've noticed is that when I mean, kind of famously, Jeff Bezos says every day is day one.
Yep.
That is something that we live by too. And like, I mean, I had my group sync today and it was like, guys, look at where we are today, because stuff was breaking, stuff was, happening. Actually, it was actually not breaking. And that's why we were so shaken by the fact that things weren't breaking. But for the past like couple weeks, we've been making so many different advancements that everything obviously will bound to have a bug. And debugging is honestly my worst enemy. It is the least favorite thing I like to do, but genuinely for the first time it was like, oh, things are going well. Yeah. We can take a breath for 1 second, and I think it was the reframe, and we got to like sit together as a team and go over like the fact that there are certain customers that are with us today that we did not have a month ago.
Yeah.
And that we're so proud. And that's why, I mean, this is why today is such a special episode, birthday episode. You're here, you're in New York, you're going back to California, and I just think a lot of things have to happen, kind of like butterfly effect, to perfectly synchronize. It's me into like, what are kind of the hardest moments that taught you something that you could never learn from a book, like personal experience?
Yeah. First of all, happy birthday again.
Thank you.
Really exciting. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the day that I was talking about, right? I think when like we're an infrastructure company and things just should never go wrong, but we're also a startup and things are bound to go wrong.
Right.
And I think the hardest thing has been like being okay with the fact that sometimes things just won't go your way. Sometimes things will go in a different way, things will break, and you need to still be calm. You need to accept that it is and try to resolve the situation as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And then figure out what the next steps are in fixing that. And I feel like it's happened a few times, right? But every time it's happened, I've gotten better at this like resolution of like, how can we come back from this stronger and bigger and better?
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's part of the startup life, right? Things get better, but then they get worse. And then you just keep doing this until you're like higher up where you can keep going, build something amazing, and people are using you like and building on top of you. So yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Stoicism, and I don't know if you knew this, but I studied philosophy at school.
Oh, wow.
And I think people always underestimate philosophy. Actually, now it's being glorified because of the AI models needing this kind of thinking and kind of humanity and consciousness. But I think one of the main kind of thorough lines that I've been noticing with founders is that Stoic mindset. Not necessarily being, I think people misunderstand Stoicism as like, you must be cold, you must not have emotions, when it's actually the opposite. It's facing your emotions. I'm curious to know, and this bleeds into, again, like humanity, right? As machines become more capable, more conscious, like where is the value in humans, humanity, etc.?
Yeah. I feel like the way that I like to see it is I love my friends and family. I think that's what's most important to me. And I like to believe that what makes us human and the humanity in us is our relationships with people around us, the relationships that we create with other life in general. And that's what is human. And that's something that AI can't really replicate. Or it can be, but it's like almost artificial, right? And that's why while I love building my startup, at the end of the day, what I think makes me human is the people around me and doing this together. Like I'm building this startup with my brother, which is such an awesome experience.
It's such an awesome experience for you.
And I feel like this is only fun and it's only exciting because I get to do it with someone else.
Yeah.
And
well said.
Yeah. So yeah.
My view on it is I am so grateful to have my co-founder and my CTO and my team.
No.
And I genuinely don't think that I could live without them. I famously say I will die for this company. And they're always like, no, Bo, like we need you. Like, don't die, don't die. But I can't even see the next like couple years of my life. It's like I don't even remember a time before them.
Oh yeah.
that's how close we've become. I talk to my team members like George and Travia more than I think I talk to my parents at this point.
Yep.
And now it's like transitioning to like the next phase of life of like, they're going to be at my wedding, presumably, they'll be at my wedding, they'll be in the next stage of adulthood. And I'm so excited for that part. Where do you see in-person human connection? And where do you see that bleeding into your team, right? Like, are you guys in person? Are you building in person?
I think especially if you're in an early stage startup, I feel like building in person stuff.
You have to.
I feel like that's the only way you can work those like long hours.
Yeah.
Just like it's a stressful time, right? It's not easy. And when you're around people, those human connections, it makes it worth doing in the first place. Otherwise, imagine sitting in your room on your desk for 12 hours.
It's insane.
It's tough.
I've done it.
And I've done it, right?
Yeah.
I've done it. But is that really what I want to do in the long run?
No,
not
never.
really.
Yeah.
And I feel like so we definitely want to be in person. That's the plan for growing. We're hiring right now. And I feel like, I don't know, I appreciate the fact that I can build this with a really cool team and build something amazing. And I think that's part of what makes startups fun.
What's that movement that you're shifting towards? Like, I know for us, it's at least helping any product become autonomous and have agentic reality exist, but for the people, right? For the average person to be able to interact with it and connect with the real world. Where do you see like that movement growing?
Yeah, I think it's two different parts. One is we want to give AI agents access to the real world. I think phone numbers unlock so much. Like all websites today need phone numbers in some way, shape, or form. Need phone numbers to call people and businesses, and we want to make AI agents capable of doing that. But then the second aspect is we also want to make it so that consumers and people like my parents who don't use AI as much get a chance to actually experience it in a really good way, in a way that they're familiar with it. And that's really what we're trying to achieve on both ends of it.
What do you think has been a very cool unlock for your customers? Because I know for us, the best unlocks have been all of like the metadata that now that they're able to see for the first time, a dating app can actually know where their matches are going, or like know how much they're spending, so that they themselves can keep themselves afloat and make more money. And on top of that, of like, it's just cool to help mobilize people from online to in person and to help spread more in-person human connection.
We're working with now multiple AI recruiting companies, which I think is surprising, where all of them do like interviews over the phone now.
Oh, wow.
They do like text messaging with candidates to figure out what type of jobs they want. And they have served over 10,000 customers combined, which I think is absolutely amazing. And we get to be part of doing this. Mm-hmm. But they've made that experience of recruiting so much easier. Mm-hmm. And that's just one aspect of it, right? Now, there was someone who can't really call people or businesses in the US, and they were trying to figure out some situation with their flight because they got canceled. So they used the AgentPhone to call United, talk to them, and just manage all that for them. Calling restaurants, it's kind of crazy, like how much phone numbers unlock. I remember one of the early times I actually used one of our phone numbers and gave it access to a browser and a phone number and told it to order me DoorDash.
Oh gosh,
it's such a simple thing, right? And maybe not even that useful, but I was like, it's such a cool idea that my AI agent could do this.
Yeah.
And then it just ordered me DoorDash, and I had like food at home, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And there's, I can only imagine the amount of things that people could do with this that I haven't even thought about today.
Yeah. That's the best part.
It's so fun. And that's the kind of things that I'm excited for people to build on top of us and show off what they can do.
I know my famous line that I tell people as soon as I'm done with demo calls is like, I'm so excited to see what you build.
Yeah.
Because I do mean it. It's such a journey to watch people go from building with your API. Well, first, actually, not understanding what your API can actually do, and then grasping it, and then get excited to start building.
Yeah.
For us, and for me specifically, I just know that, as things advance and like, technology and wearables and devices more specifically get more autonomous, I want to help keep things grounded. What is necessary and what's not, what will actually benefit humanity, what will not.
Yeah. Because
there's so many, I guess we were talking about this earlier, there's so many safeguards that you have to put in place. Give the people what they want to know. What type of tools are you using yourself?
I am huge fan of Claude Code.
Yeah.
That is my biggest one. I also love Granola separately. I think it's a great product. One of my favorite products to use. We record it all the time. It's basically on 24/7 for me.
Wow.
And I just love going back and being like, hey, what could I have done better from my demo calls from last week?
Yeah.
What a cool experience, and something that only AI could have enabled.
I'm going to have to, I'm a big fan of Gemini.
Oh, wow.
I love Gemini during our Google Meets and during our like calendar, like we use cal.com, like, which I absolutely love too. Do you think the value is though, is like coding by yourself? I think our team is because we're so scrappy and so lean, like we're very much all like, we will not depend on third party. I'm right there with you. We have our own personal dashboard. I didn't want to outsource that. There's too much metadata. There's too much, I guess, real world data that now we're kind of noticing because we can connect software to real world systems. What kind of, I'm curious to know, like, what sounds crazy today that feels obvious tomorrow?
Oh, what sounds crazy today? I think that AI agents will do more phone calls than humans will.
Interesting.
I know. I think this is crazy. And because I think all call centers will get replaced by AI agents.
I can see that.
And because of that, I think there'll be more AI agents doing phone calls than humans.
Interesting.
I don't think from a consumer, I think us as humans, or like me calling my friend, it'll still happen by myself. Right. But I think businesses will become reliant on AI doing their phone calls for them.
They might have to.
They might have to.
So then I guess like what kind of world then are you ultimately trying to create?
I think almost like, I think it's a world of ease is what I like to imagine, right? Okay. If I want to talk to, let's say I want to order Domino's and I don't have the app or the website and I just want my AI agent to book it get me Domino's. Mm-hmm. I should just be able to tell my AI agent, hey, can you go order me Domino's, get it to my place? It should already have my information. It should have everything. I'll call the business. It'll do that and done. I don't need to worry about anything. And all of that happened with AI communication. Yeah. And I think as more and more people start using AI, that's when AI agents become stronger, better. And that's what I'm excited to see. So I like to see it as a world of ease where we don't have to wait on hold for hours on end for anything.
And why I love infra companies too, because we're sitting in that happy stance kind of road. I always like to tell people who don't understand infrastructure, I'm like, we're the road. And think of, agents and consumer platforms as the cars.
Yeah.
They need the road to smoothly travel to their
really
destination.
Good. I like that. Yeah.
What's then, I guess, like the world that you're building towards for, businesses, right? Like these businesses will ultimately create those changes, right? Maybe replace their call centers with agents. Like what kind of world does that create?
I don't know. I think it's really interesting. We're working with this real estate company now, and they want to help automate messages between prospective homeowner buyers and real estate agents.
I love that.
And I think it's such a simple thing, right? Today, when you want to find an apartment or a house, it's such a hard, annoying problem. You're dealing with brokers. And they're slow on responding. You don't get any information.
New York knows that best.
Yeah, in New York, it's such a terrible experience, and it's such a taxing experience. But with AI, this is such an easily solvable issue. AI agents have all the data. They can tell you exactly what you want, help you figure that out. And instead of wasting days or weeks, you can find the right home for you within minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what we're helping them solve for it. And I feel like that's resulting in them being able to sell more homes, being able to get people to apartments faster. And at least for the end consumer, it's an easy life, right? It's so much easier to get in a house and apartment. And then for the business, it's an automated process that just works and is able to help them get to the end goal. Obviously, you still need brokers to do the home showing, but you can at least reduce that work that the brokers have in communicating over text messaging or voice call.
I like that. I'm also obsessed with that as well. I mean, that's why we basically do everything for our customers.
Yeah.
If they tell us that they need something, we're like, we'll do it. Like it's kind of like that front end deployment that you didn't think that you'd be doing, but you end up doing it because you love them. My line in the sand though with customers is, well, what's a nice to have versus a need to have in their platforms? I think a lot of times, and we do this too, of like, we'll just build, and then we'll cut back and say like, what do we actually need? Where do you see AgentPhone helping facilitate those relationships, those connections, bringing people together? Because I think the misconception about AI in general is that AI is going to take over. It's going to replace everything. Where do you see the backlash of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right, there's a lot of people are concerned about what will AI do and it'll take over. But I also think it'll save us time, right? It will save us countless hours and time that we help coordinating with people, businesses spend on doing different things, or us even as humans, right? I know I've spent hours on these stupid phone calls that I just didn't need to, or messaging people and businesses and figuring things out. Government stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like it could be so much easier. And I think what ends up happening is you save countless hours and now you can spend those on those human relationships or things that you actually care about rather than wasting your time. I want a future where if I want something or need something from a business, it can happen instantaneously.
Me too.
Rather than waiting on a support ticket that takes days or weeks or waiting on hold for like 5 hours before you get a response. And that's what an AI enables. And I feel like that's the future we're building towards.
One of my favorite parts about just like you as a founder and you as a person is that you're able to have human relationships while you build. I think the misconception about founders now is that you must be locked in a room, air mattress, no sleep, no work. And there is that infamous fight kind of on Twitter of that. There's always polarizing debates on Twitter. I shouldn't say, that one fight, but kind of to your point, like where do you see yourself as an operator enforcing that, work hard mentality versus having flourishing human relationships and experiencing life?
Yeah, I feel like a big reason why I'm doing this startup is because I just enjoy building and building for people, but I also really care about these human relationships and the ones that are close to me, right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing this just for the money or just for something specific. And so I think what I really believe is that the work hard, play hard mentality, right? I will work 12 hours, but when I want to take a break, I want to be around the people that I care about. I want to be able to enjoy and take a break. I think that's when I'm the most productive, right? If I'm working 24/7, I'm not going to be that productive. I'm going to burn out eventually. And that's happened before. I've burnt out. And it resulted in the next few days not being as productive. When I can take a break, relax, calm my mind, and then go experience the world and get ideas about what I want to do next, that results in a better product and a better experience for everyone, I think.
I think the best founders are ones who have background experience, and this is kind of maybe a philosophy take as well of like Socrates mentioned how you need to have lived experience and you need to have informational experience. And without one, you can't have full unlock. And I just find it. So then I guess what you just said, SF or New York City, like which is the best city to build?
I think SF is an amazing city, and I think it's a great place to build AI. But I think there's become this mentality of like you only work. Everything is around work. You go to parties and they're sponsored by startups. And I mean, I think it's great.
I'm going to one after
this. But I also think I want to have a little bit of enjoyment in my life and a little bit of like productiveness. And I think New York is great if you can find the balance without just having too much fun. And I think if you're focused and if you have the conviction and like, I want to build a startup, but I also want to be able to leave the office and have a little bit of fun every once in a while, I think New York's a great place for that. And I think SF struggles a little bit on that aspect.
I find that the chaos of New York helps me build better.
100%.
I just feel more motivated. I'm more locked in. I'm constantly trying to think, am I going to survive today? Am I going to live? And that ultimately helps me just get so locked in and so focused. I think that's why I love the city so much. I guess to wrap this up, if you had to build a business tomorrow, what are the things that you would tell yourself and how would you build?
Start early, build fast, break fast. I think that's it. Like build, get it out within as soon as possible. Let users break it. They'll forget about it quickly if you can deliver a good product after that. And just keep doing that over and over again. Eventually you'll end up with a good product. I think it took me a bit to learn that, but
me too.
We've learned that now, and that's why we ship fast. And sometimes things might break, but we learn from them quickly.
To tell everyone listening, what are the last few pieces of kind of information about AgentPhone that you want them to know?
If you want to give your AI agent a phone number, we are the best way to do it. It takes 5 seconds to do it, and go try it yourself.
Awesome. Thanks, Manav, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I've had an amazing conversation with you.
Awesome, yeah.
I am so excited to see what more you build. I absolutely love infra. If anyone is also an infra founder, I'm so excited to see what you build, and I cannot wait. Godspeed to both you and I, AgentPhone and Ophelia to the moon.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Love
this is great.